Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale had some interesting comments about second-year edge defender Kayvon Thibodeaux, fifth overall pick in the 2022 draft. During Tuesday's media availability, Martindale said that he had spoken with Thibodeaux in front of the entire Giants defense about Thibodeaux's practice and said that Thibodeaux had heard him clearly, and also added that this apparently came before last week's joint practices with the Detroit Lions, where Thibodeaux caused a pair of strip sack fumbles. I think he recovered both of those. But really interesting comments from Martindale. Ed Valentine of Big Blue View here with some quick thoughts on that. Interesting in the wake of the fact that Rick Spielman, former GM of the Minnesota Vikings, now an analyst for CBS Sports, had said that during those practices against the Lions, that Thibodeaux's effort was not the same as that of what he saw from Detroit Lions second-year edge defender Aiden Hutchinson, who was drafted before Thibodeaux in the 2022 draft. Said that Thibodeaux just blended in to practices where in his opinion, it seemed that Hutchinson's efforts stood out. Now, it's interesting because Thibodeaux came to the Giants. This was one of the issues that was widely discussed with Kayvon Thibodeaux before the 2022 NFL draft. So it's interesting that it comes up now, but let's do this. Let's play the couple of minutes of audio from Wink Martindale regarding Thibodeaux, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit about Thibodeaux and my thoughts on the young man.
Last one. What do you think of Kayvon's camp, and particularly just how he did in the joint practices in Detroit?
Well, I thought that in Detroit, on Tuesday and Wednesday, I think he caused 2 fumbles and recovered 2 fumbles. I expect him to be at the top of everything, and so do we. And I've talked to him about his practice, and I think that he heard me clearly, and I talked to him in front of the entire defense. So Kayvon's going to be fine, first of all. And like I said, he caused 2 fumbles and he recovered 2 fumbles. Like we had in the 2 days. We had 8 takeaways against what were they? They were a top 5 offense last year, which gave us confidence ourselves in the way we competed there.
What do you mean? Talk to him about his practice in front of the defense. Just you didn't think he was practicing intensely enough?
I do. No, I do keep it real with everybody on where they're at and why they're there, and because the last thing I want as a coach is for a player to drive in this parking lot and not know where they stand, especially this time of year. Because I think that, we build our relationships, we build our foundation on trust and honesty. And, I tell them, what I think and where they stand. And it's, where the competition is, where the line is. I talk about all that. So, like I said, we had a great week in Detroit. I'm sure you haven't heard that quote very often, but it was a great week. And I'm excited to take this next step.
All right, that's what Martindale had to say about Thibodeaux. Listen, Martindale has been a huge supporter of Kayvon Thibodeaux. He said the young man has no ceiling and can put his mind and can do whatever he puts his mind to in terms of the kind of NFL player that he wants to be. And I know that there were questions about Thibodeaux's effort when he was at Oregon and whether he took plays off, whether he played hard on a play in and play out basis. I look at Kayvon Thibodeaux and I do not see a lazy player. I do not see a guy who doesn't want to get better, a guy who doesn't want to put his best foot forward. I see a guy who really has been the best player. He's been the biggest, baddest guy wherever he's been. And I think that what happens with a lot of players like that, Andre Patterson, Giants defensive line coach, talked to me earlier this summer about Dexter Lawrence, and he said that the thing about Dexter was that Dexter was always the biggest, baddest, strongest guy in the room and had never really learned the technique, had never really learned how to practice the nitty gritty of what he really needed to do at the NFL level to really allow his physical gifts to shine through. Finally learned that under Patterson's tutelage last year and became one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. I look at Thibodeaux in somewhat the same way. He may think that he is working as hard as he can sometimes during practice. He may believe he's doing all he can, but maybe through his high school journey, through his college journey, maybe he was allowed to cruise through practice. He was and he doesn't yet understand what practicing all out, what giving full effort in practice really is. I think it's about learning to be a pro. It's about learning what it takes. It's about learning how to be the best at your craft. I think that Thibodeaux has talked a little bit about learning how to be a better NFL pass rusher. To me, I think this is part of the maturation process for Kayvon Thibodeaux. I don't see him as lazy. I don't see him as a problem. I don't see him as a guy who doesn't give effort. I see him as a young man who is still learning what it takes to be the best NFL player he can be. All right, Giants fans, please remember to like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube. Please stay safe out there. Take care of each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.